Mikal Bridges. Is
Yeah,
that what you
Mikal
meant?
Bridges. Yeah. What did I say? Michael?
You said Malik Beasley, which if
Malik.
Malik Beasley for the third overall pick, that's a different story. That's crazy.
That's a crazier story. But no, you're right. Mikal Bridges to the Blazers for the third pick. The Nets are not interested in that trade. The Portland Trailblazers obviously felt like they were one of the biggest losers in the draft just because they thought they had a chance at the number one overall pick. And they ended up getting the number 3 pick, and they are looking to trade it. And they are determined to do what the third overall pick plus Anthony Simons can return them for in the trade market as they attempt to improve the roster around Damian Lillard. And one player who is not available is, of course, Bridges. Um, Schifer of
Do you,
the Athletic reports that the Nets are not interested. And of course, there's a lot of things that the Trailblazers need to do with that pick. What were you gonna say, Pete?
I don't know if I don't know, Bernie. I think that's kind of crazy. I like Mikal Bridges a lot, really do. If you're a team like the Nets, like this is a really good draft, And we're just talking. We're not ready to do our, really in-depth coverage of this draft class. I'm pretty confident in saying I think this is like one of the best top sevens in the last 15 years. Like there is a lot of talent in this draft.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Specifically that top three, like the Nets. I don't understand quite what their plan would be in terms of holding on to Mikal Bridges, unless they're instantly going to go try and sign somebody or go make a big deal for another star. What's really the point? I mean, he's really good, but they were a losing team in the second half of the season. Post KD trade, they literally had a losing record. They were not good enough to actually make the playoffs. If they had had like 10 more games, they wouldn't have been in. I like Mikal Bridges a lot, Bernie. I'm kind of mind blown by their hesitance to turn him into a huge payday. I don't really get it. I know he was wildly impressive, just statistically for that second half of the season. There is a legit chance they could get Scoot Henderson at that third pick. Like I'm pretty sure Brandon Miller is well in the discussion at number 2 to go to Charlotte. Like
I've
he
I,
makes more
I've been hearing
makes
rumors
more
about
sense
him.
for them. I think he's going number 2. If I had to prognosticate, I'm calling it. Brandon Miller is going 2 to Charlotte. He makes more sense. They don't have to re-sign or bring back Miles Bridges. If that's the case, they can move on from him and not keep them both together, and
Yeah.
it's not as big of a hit. You could get Scoot Henderson at number 3 if you're the Brooklyn Nets, if that's what you want. You could also get him at number 3 if you're Portland. Like, to me, I don't think it's that crazy to try and take Scoot at 3 and trade Damian Lillard and go young if you're Portland. Go with the Scoot and Shaden Sharp and see what happens, right? And Anthony Simons, keep him around too.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of crazy, Bernie. What would you do if you're holding on to Mikal Bridges? Somebody comes to you with let's say it's the third overall pick. Let's say have to throw somebody else in there. Say it's Portland. It has to be Portland. They have the number 3 overall pick. Let's say they offer you the number 3 overall pick and Drew Eubanks and one more something, like one more protected first. Would you not do that? You'd hold on to Mikal Bridges?
Only if I get Anthony Simons. That's the only reason I would take that trade. Because right now,
With the
Mikal
third and
Bridges,
Anthony Simons?
I think I'd probably do that. Because I mean, thinking about this, like the reason why I think you wouldn't just straight up trade the third pick for Bridges is because
One for
Bridge
one.
Bridges is your number one guy. Like,
Yeah.
forget Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons is your number on the bench, sitting on the
He's
couch
number
type of
nothing,
guy.
Bernie. He's not playing for that team again. There's
Yeah.
no way.
I'm curious to see what happens with him because I think he is either has one more year left or 2 more years left. I can't remember how many years on his contract, but you get rid of him and like all you're left with is Mikal Bridges and Spencer Dinwiddie. And that's not a team
Yeah.
that's going to win
And
you
Yuta.
it's not going to win you a championship. And so, I think if you're in Brooklyn, it's like, yeah, you're getting rid of your quote unquote
Clack.
superstar player because he's your only guy. Like,
Yeah, but see, that's kind of why I think it's crazy to hold on to Mikal Bridges. They have so much they need to do. They're so far away from anything. No, Mikal Bridges does not get you closer to. I don't know. I mean, I shouldn't say that. He does, but he's still, in
He,
best case scenario, is he the second best player on a championship team?
he's probably
Best
like the
case.
third best. I would say is best.
I would say, like, premium, you get the absolute most out of him. I think he could be your second best player. That being
Yeah,
said, who could they even remotely go get as their number one? It literally doesn't make any sense. They couldn't. So,
yeah.
I don't know. Like, I remember being absolutely dumbfounded when they revealed they turned down 4 firsts for Mikal Bridges at the trade deadline. Like, to me, that's crazy. You're already so far from everything. You need to just get more assets. But
Mhm.
number 3 overall pick in this year's draft, Bernie, maybe they're just waiting to see. Maybe it's one of those things where it's like draft night. We're gonna wait all the way until then to see what Charlotte does at number 2.
Yeah, I mean it's going to be definitely a very interesting scenario for the Brooklyn Nets this offseason because man, I was just talking about it earlier. Like I was thinking about back to because we were looking at D'Lo. It's just crazy to me, like that team that went to the playoffs, made a nice little playoff run, had probably a really good roster, just absolutely get torched and torn apart because you wanted to bring in KD and Kyrie, and they
Yep.
kind of ruined that whole thing. And
They have Cam Johnson too. We can't forget him. I
yeah,
mean, Cam Johnson's really solid.
yeah, I love Cam Johnson, but to me, it's more like you had such a great roster, and
Yeah, they
all
were in a great spot.
and they blew it up, and then they had James Harden, and they said, "All right, let's just trade him and get Ben Simmons," and it just ended up being a huge, complete mess.
Yep.
And I'm a little disappointed in that because, like I said, I think, well, I mean, I don't really care for Brooklyn too much, but I
Screw
just
them.
think that they had a perfect thing going on, and they decided, you know what, I think we'll be okay. And
Ben has 2 more years, by the way.
oh, great.
Also, did you know his agent, his new agent after Clutch is his name is Bernie.
Oh, I would
Throwing that out
say,
there.
I would look to make arrangements for Call of Duty Face Clan League. I would.
Yeah.
That's what I'd be looking at. I would not be looking at in the NBA. And also, I would advise him not to post that social media post about the 76ers, but that's just
Don't
me.
even get me started. Don't even get me started, Bernie. That's one of the dumbest things I've seen in literal years. I'm mind blown
Yeah.
by that.
Yeah. But yeah, let us know what you guys think in the comment section down below about this. I think this is going to be one of those things, like looking back on it, you know, like you said, Pete, we're gonna see what happens with Charlotte at 2. Charlotte to me, almost kind of like last year, the way the Orlando Magic were hiding the fact that they were gonna take Paulo the whole time. Uh, but it does kind of shape the draft a little differently if the Hornets take a certain player versus not a certain player. Um, I think that it will open up a lot of can of worms if the the Blazers, have a chance to either get Brandon Miller or someone else. But that's going to be a very interesting conversation uh, in the future.
Bernie, I will not get off my if I was in charge of one of these middling teams. If I'm the Pistons, Bernie, you cannot convince me that you should not be one of the first teams to ever like go trade and get the twins together. Go get 2 twins together. Draft them 5-6. Why not? Give me the Thompson twins. Put them together and see what happens if you keep them together their whole career. We're about to witness the greatest set of twins to ever enter the NBA, and you could get them right next to each other, keep them together their whole career. You have instant chemistry.
Yeah, I mean that'll be a very interesting situation if that is the case. But
It's my preview for everybody. I'm gonna just tell everybody now. I ride really hard for the Thompson twins. I really like them.
yeah,
I think they're gonna be incredibly good in the NBA.
Pete's a big twin guy. But let us know in the comment section down
Yeah,
below.
all twins.
All
I
twins,
ride hard for all twins.
all twins everywhere around the world. But let us know in the comment section down below. What do you guys think about this Brooklyn Nets situation? And of course, the Blazers. What do they do? Do they keep Damian Lillard? Do they trade him? Or do you build around him? Let us know in the comment section down below.